what the heck are we supposed to do with our lives? It's a huge question, one that has obsessed humanity throughout time, and one I feel like we probably might never answer. So I've honestly never felt as anxious about the future as I have over the last 6 months. And I think in a weird way, this is kind of crazy, but the pandemic for me kind of felt that this period where our lives were all on hold, where we had to kind of cherish every moment, family, friends, what really mattered. And it meant that we didn't have to focus on anything beyond that. Our goal was, for that kind of moment in time, pretty much just to survive, to group together as a community and get through that difficult period. And now we are, at least, to some extent, like through the other side of that. COVID is still here, but we need to move on with our lives. The question returns as to so what is the point? What am I doing? Where am I going? What is my direction? So the way I kind of see the last 2.5 years of my life, more or less, has been a period characterized by doing what you can to accept that feeling overwhelmed, feeling scared, feeling burdened is okay. And really, I think learning to be kinder to yourself. I certainly have had to be kinder to myself and say, hey, it's okay if there are periods where I don't feel like I'm achieving as much as I want to. And, anything that we achieved during that period, I feel like it was kind of like this carrot that was like, it doesn't matter if you can't do anything more than just survive and get through day to day. But if you can and you achieve things, like I did really well in my exams, amazing. I think everything was that much sweeter because I was kind of not expecting anything good to come from that period. Everything felt pretty much uncontrollable. We had no control over our lives, over our liberty. And in a strange way, taking away all human choice kind of meant that the direction was abundantly clear. There were no routes to choose because we all had to stay at home. We all had to do more or less the same thing. We all had to just hunker down and get through it. But that sense of just having to go along with the fundamentally uncontrollable feels like it's diminished now. And that, frankly, is kind of scary. And that sense has only been magnified 10 times by the fact that I am at a stage in my life for the first time, and I talked about this in my previous video about finding fulfillment, where, yes, I've had this kind of grand plan set out in front of me where the object and success was getting good grades. It was going to the best university I could get into. It was getting into law school, getting good grades out of that, picking the right departments that I was going to go into in my job, trying those out, deciding what I wanted to do. And now I get to the end of all that, and it's now me who has to decide my direction. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? There's no timetable now for me in front of me as to when things need to happen. I need to decide for myself when personal and life decisions are gonna happen. It feels like a lot, but there have been, over the last couple of weeks, 3 pretty distinctive moments that I can think of that have really changed how I've been thinking about my life in the future. So yeah, I just want to share with you those 3 kind of moments of realization, those 3 evolutions in how I've been thinking about the future that hopefully will help you also to feel more at ease, more comfortable, less anxious, less stressed, and just to enjoy your life a little bit more, as I am currently trying to do. So the first moment was rereading my notes that I made in 6th form, very applicably given that I am now in Paris, that I just so happened to stumble across on my laptop the other week for a novel, a French novel from the Enlightenment called Candide ou l'Optimisme, which is by an author, a writer, thinker called Voltaire. And basically the idea that really kind of struck me as I was just looking through my notes quickly, I was like, this is a book. And I remember reading it at the time and really loving it. And it's a book that fundamentally addresses the issue that I've been facing, which is feeling like there is a perfect set of decisions that will put me in the ideal place possible. Like there are wrong decisions I can make and I have to choose the exact perfect decision every single decision that I make, or else kind of life will implode. But there's a quote from Candide, which is all about kind of the search for le meilleur des mondes possible, the best of all possible worlds. And there's this one character called Pangloss who effectively kind of belligerently stresses the importance of Candide, who's this sort of main character, trying to find the best of all possible worlds. That he has to go to the ends of the earth through all of this bad stuff that's happening, and he has to make perfect decisions at every split in the path in order to reach this ideal view of the world which exists somewhere. And the reality is that it doesn't exist. Candide actually faces earthquakes, great diseases, pandemics, and war. It's like strikingly similar to right now, and realizes ultimately that all of this, searching for the best of all possible worlds is fruitless. It just causes him to be immensely unhappy, and he needs to realize that ultimately there are many possible choices, there are many possible paths to take. And the key, ultimately, the end of the book, the kind of final nugget that it finishes with, is this line, which is "Il faut cultiver notre jardin." We must cultivate our garden, which sounds kind of weird now. But basically, they finish up having gone all around the world searching for the best possible way of living on this tiny little farm where they start growing stuff and they start working the land. They go back to the simplicity, to the essence of human existence in a small community, and they work and they find pleasure and contentment in work. So, and this is what I take from it. They're kind of farming. It doesn't matter where they ended up farming. It doesn't matter what they're growing. All that matters is that they are growing. That kind of metaphor of let's grow. We just need to cultivate our kind of metaphorical gardens for ourselves. We need to grow things. We need to grow ourselves. I think it's hugely powerful in realizing that it doesn't matter whether you choose the perfect avenue, the perfect thing that you're going to find passion in for the rest of your life. What matters is that you're doing something, you're trying things, you're making decisions about whether you like those things or not, and you're growing. I have found at least great solace in that idea of just there is no best of all possible worlds. There is only this world, and we just have to kind of make what we can of it. I'm making these big decisions about what I want to do in terms of my job as a lawyer and what I'm going to do moving forward. I've been making decisions about staying at my current firm. I've been making decisions about moving to Paris and living here and being away from Beth and in my business, and so many decisions that I think it feels like I can make wrong decisions, and actually just realizing it's okay. I'll work through those decisions. I'm making decisions. I'm doing things, and I'm growing, and that's what matters. On top of these 3 moments that have helped me feel just more at ease, I guess, with being a little bit lost at the moment, discovering new ideas and ways of seeing my life in the world always helps me put things in perspective and to feel generally inspired and motivated. And one of my favourite tools for discovering new ideas is Blinkist. As someone with a very busy work life, Blinkist has allowed me to spend 15 minutes, which I often do over breakfast or while I'm travelling around London or Paris, listening to key takeaways from a huge number of non-fiction books. I've been using it to remind myself of the key ideas from books I read when I was younger, like The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, or the personal finance classic Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or to discover completely new books. One of the things that I really love about Blinkist is that I can listen to blinks from books or podcasts in topics that I find super interesting, but where I probably wouldn't spend the time to read an entire book. I've recently read and listened to the blinks based on blockchain, the next everything, which improved my understanding of exactly how the blockchain works and how it could be applied to radically change everything from business to culture and communication. So yeah, follow the link at the top of the description to start your free trial of Blinkist and make the most of their special offer just for you wonderful people of 25% off premium membership. The second moment over the last few weeks that's really changed my perspective has been a conversation with one of my mentors who's a relatively senior lawyer. And I chat to him about all things kind of career, law, like where I see myself going, but also about like stuff outside of law, family, making these videos. He's a hugely valuable resource in pushing me always to kind of think about what I really want. And look, this moment doesn't go completely contrary to what I just said. There are infinitely many decisions and none of them are perfect. Many of them are very good and you will make the best of whatever decisions you go with. But I think the worst feeling for me, and the reason, like I think this is the real reason why I felt really lost over the last few weeks, is that I knew there were tons of fairly important like decisions to be making. What department I want to qualify into at work is an important decision. It's going to affect my career moving forward. There are then fundamental life decisions with Beth about family, like when we think that's a good idea, marriage and life moving forward, and kids and fundamental like personal life questions that are getting closer and closer, which is very scary. And then on a kind of more like business level, there are decisions about where I see this YouTube channel going, whether I think it's sustainable long term to continue doing this alongside a hugely demanding job. There were tons of things floating around that I was just kind of ignoring, procrastinating on making any decisions about, not thinking about because I didn't want to kind of have to confront the realities that were in front of me. And so I think the second thing you can do if you're feeling lost is to think about what are those things, those decisions, those kind of questions about where your life is going that you're ignoring, that you're procrastinating on thinking about because they're scary. And I dedicated 7 days. Literally, I gave myself like a period of a week from the Sunday when I had this conversation through to the following Sunday, where literally I spent like most of my free time, hence again, not making like so many videos recently, thinking about where I saw my career going, thinking about where this YouTube channel was going, what the future of it was, what I'm doing in my business. And I had very real conversations with Beth about our life together and what our plans are for the future. We did not, and I do not think it's a good idea to try to plan out like everything you're gonna do for the next 5 years of your life and have a very concrete sense of what success is and what you absolutely want to do. But there were just like fundamental questions that I was ignoring that needed to be answered. It's so easy in life just to float along, and I don't think you should overthink every single step of your life. You should be able to just go with the flow a little. But when those are choices that are kind of there in the background of your mind, it does actually make it really hard to enjoy the moment, really hard to feel at ease with what's happening to you and where you're going. I now don't have a very clear sense as to where I want to go in 5 or 10 years time. I know that I've made decisions for the next year or two of my life that I am very happy with, that I think are best for me right now. I've stopped procrastinating on them. I've made the decisions. I'm very happy now that those decisions are made. They may not be perfect, but as covered in point 1, I made decisions and we're going with it. And I now kind of feel just much more at ease with the fact that I've made choices that are going to affect my life rather than there just being things that happen to me that affect my life. Give yourself a period of a week, focus on what those issues are, get to the core of what you're thinking and feeling, make decisions and just go with it and follow your gut. And the third and final moment was that my mum came to visit me last weekend and we were out on this like open top bus tour of Paris, soaking up everything. And I was just talking to her about how I've been feeling pretty overwhelmed and like I had all these decisions to make and really a bit lost and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do and all this stuff. And she just said to me, look, you have over the last 10 years consistently had like a next goal, a next thing you've been pushing to achieve more and more, which is great. But I want you as my son to enjoy your life, to just take the time to actually have a year or 2 or 3 or 4 where you can be comfortable and happy and know that you've done lots that's really great, but I actually try to enjoy life a little bit more rather than just like constantly pushing for the next thing and the next thing. And now I'm in Paris. That has really forced me. The third kind of final piece of this jigsaw, I think, was just realizing that even if I've made some decisions now, I'll see where they take me and see whether I'm happy and make decisions based on how I feel moving forward. It's okay to be lost and I need to just soak up where I am, where I find myself, no matter if I'm lost or not, like not worry about it and embrace where I am. People talk all the time in business or in productivity about like, don't focus on the destination, focus on the journey, which I think is true. But I think I would even more flip that to say like, don't even just focus on the journey as to like on the process of getting to somewhere. You can do that when you have fixed goals, and I do try to do that when I'm working on my business or whatever. But actually in life more broadly, I think you can also just enjoy not being on a journey, on doing stuff that you just enjoy because it's fun, spending time with friends or family or community. And those things that we really grew to cherish, going full circle during the pandemic, that I think maybe we've lost a little bit as we've come out the other side of that we've kind of forgotten how important and how valuable it was that we cherish those moments and like being able to see friends and being able to travel and all this beauty that life holds and has for us. So yeah, I don't have the answers. I still feel a little bit lost. But number one was there are no right, perfect decisions. Just kind of realize that you can make any one of a number of decisions or take any one of a number of various different paths, and they will all probably be very good for you. And if not, you will change direction pretty quickly if it is very wrong. Second, don't procrastinate on those big decisions. Don't just kind of float through life not making choices. Think about what you think you want. Force yourself to have a limited period of time where you do truly reflect on where you're going and just make a decision. And finally, kind of, I guess, just like love being lost. Like, it's okay to not be on a journey, on a clear path to this end destination. It's okay to just be like, I don't know, wandering around and, you know, soaking up life for what it is and enjoying things for what they are. So yeah, I hope that has been somewhat relatable, helpful. It's at least been kind of helpful for me to like process this. And I think I'm just going to continue trying to focus on those three kind of points over the coming months as I'm in Paris. Like, I'm insanely lucky and need to make the most of it. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe, please do like, and do let me know in the comments like what you thought, because I love seeing what everyone is thinking. I promise I literally always read every single one of the comments, even if I don't get time to reply to all of them. And yeah, I look forward to speaking again very soon.